what happens when top government officials use a self-deleting messaging app to discuss sensitive military operations and accidentally invite a journalist to the chat. Spoiler alert, it's not a new Netflix series, but it sure could be. Today, we're diving into the bizarre tale of high-ranking Trump administration officials, a signal group chat, a military operation in Yemen, and a journalist who got a front-row seat to the whole thing. Buckle up, this one's a roller coaster.
Judge is now ordering the Trump administration to preserve a record of the signal chat messages where national security officials discussed sensitive military operations. That chat was fully released by The Atlantic earlier this week after key members of the Trump administration denied its contents, but the messages were set to expire in a week. Meanwhile, congressmen from both parties are now calling for an official investigation to determine how a journalist was added to that chat. But the Trump administration wants to move away from the scandal.
The president and our entire team have been incredibly transparent. We have taken every question under the sun about this story, and the National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this mistake.
And the White House announced Elon Musk would lead an investigation into the incident, but lawmakers want an independent review from the Inspector General. Congress has also said it would request a classified hearing to follow up on the investigation. Fox News anchor Shannon Breen with Fox News Sunday joins me now. Good morning to you.
Good to see you, Brandon.
All right, so President Trump, you may remember, of course you remember, was very critical of former President Biden, accusing him of never firing people when they messed up.
Right.
So will Trump fire someone for these signal messages?
It doesn't seem like in the short term, Brandon, that's going to happen. And I think that's in part because they don't want to be seen, this administration, as admitting or conceding there was any problem with these messages, or in giving Jeffrey Goldberg, they say, quote, a scalp. They don't want it to look as if he has won this argument or conversation.
Let's set the scene. March 2025. The Trump administration is in full swing, and tensions with the Houthi rebels in Yemen are escalating. In the midst of this, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz decides to create a group chat on Signal, a messaging app known for its end-to-end encryption and self-deleting messages, to coordinate a military strike. Now, using Signal for casual chats? Cool. Using it to discuss classified military operations? Questionable. But here's where it gets downright comical. Waltz accidentally adds Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic magazine, to the chat. Yes, you heard that right. A journalist was given a backstage pass to a top-secret military operation. It's like inviting a food critic to your family dinner and then serving burnt lasagna.
So, what did this accidental invitee witness? The group, charmingly named Houthi PC Small Group, with PC, presumably standing for Principals Committee, included big names like Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. These officials were casually dropping details about the timing of attacks, target locations, and even real-time updates as the operation unfolded. At one point, Hegseth shared specifics about launch times of F-18 fighter jets and Tomahawk missiles. Imagine the group chat notifications. Hegseth, F-18s launching at 1300 hours. Tomahawks away at 13:15. Waltz, first target down. Building collapsed. Goldberg, guys, you know I'm a journalist, right?
Goldberg, probably pinching himself to ensure he wasn't dreaming, observed the conversation without participating. After witnessing enough to pen a bestseller, he quietly exited the chat. Days later, he published an article detailing the entire debacle, bringing this clandestine comedy of errors into the public eye. Cue the collective facepalm of the nation.
Late this afternoon, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to preserve records of a text message chat where senior national security officials discussed sensitive details for a U.S. military strike against the Houthis in Yemen. Questions mount over what is being called Signalgate. Fox's Connor Hansen with the latest.
Both the top Democrat and the top Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee have now requested an official investigation into the use of the Signal app to discuss military plans. They want to know if classified information was sent over the commercial network and how a journalist was added to a group chat where top Trump administration officials discussed specific details of an upcoming strike in Yemen. President Trump has said an inspector general investigation would not bother him, but the White House would rather move on.
The president and our entire team have been incredibly transparent. We have taken every question under the sun about this story, and the National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this mistake.
Democrats have called for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to resign, and one says he should even face charges. They're focusing on one message in particular in which Hegseth sent specific timing and details of the attack.
There was a crime here, and likely an intentional crime.
Now, you might be wondering, what were the repercussions of this monumental slip-up? A federal judge ordered the Trump administration to preserve all messages from this Signal chat. The concern? That the use of Signal's auto-delete feature violated federal record-keeping laws. Enter American Oversight, a government accountability group, which sued the administration, arguing that these messages are government records and must be preserved. The judge's order specifically required officials to retain all Signal communications from March 11th to March 15th, 2025, the period during which Goldberg had access to the chat.
But wait, there's more. Senators from both sides of the aisle expressed outrage and demanded investigations into whether classified information was improperly shared on an unsecured platform. The Senate Armed Services Committee, led by Republican Senator Roger Wicker and Democrat Senator Jack Reed, called for a probe into the matter. It's like watching a political thriller unfold in real time, except the plot twists are more absurd than any fiction writer could concoct.
Let's not forget the irony. Many of these same officials previously slammed Hillary Clinton for her email server. Now they're spilling military secrets in a group chat with a journalist.
So here's the final takeaway. Don't use disappearing messages for war plans. Don't invite journalists to secret chats. Don't act shocked when this ends up on the front page. Also, this case is likely to spark even more congressional hearings and reforms in how government officials use communication app.
Let's be honest. Signal, WhatsApp, Telegram, they weren't designed for handling nuclear codes or top-secret strike missions. The line between privacy and secrecy is getting blurrier by the year. And if a single group chat can derail U.S. diplomacy, maybe it's time for some analog notepads and pens again. And the memes? Oh, they're just getting started.
This is Trending Buzz, your daily dose of political chaos and comedy. Stay tuned, stay curious, and please double-check before you hit send.